Hello, Jason from Fix My Books. Canada exit taxes. Question we get quite often is, if I work remotely for a Canadian employer, do I still need to pay Canadian taxes? Well, this is really going to depend on your tax residency status, not whether or not you're just, flipping in and inside and outside the country. So generally, if you're going to another country and you're probably just staying on a tourist visa and you're hopping in and out of that country, or you're just moving about randomly through several countries, bringing a laptop, doing some work, you're likely going to still be deemed a Canadian tax resident, and that's because you may have substantial ties still in Canada. Your employment may be in Canada, your family may be in Canada, your car, your driver's license, all those random little factors. Your bank account is probably Canadian still, so all those little factors work towards you being a Canadian resident, therefore having to pay Canadian taxes and filing a Canadian tax return. But again, like I said, it's really going to depend on your residency status. So if you're considered a resident of Canada, you're obviously subject to Canadian tax on your worldwide income, regardless of where your work is performed. And this includes income earned from working remotely as from a Canadian employer. If you're a non-resident of Canada, you're generally only going to be subject to Canadian tax on income sourced in Canada. So this would include income from employment performed in Canada and income from Canadian investments and disposing of Canadian property, that kind of thing. So there's also things called like deemed residents and deemed non-residents. So deemed resident is when you're in the country for 183 days or more in the calendar year. You can be a deemed resident of Canada and then taxed on your worldwide income. Otherwise, there's also temporary returns to Canada. So you can be temporarily coming in to Canada to work, but not to reestablish significant residential ties, and you maintain your status as a non-resident. And then there's employment exercised abroad. So if you're a non-resident and your employment is exercised entirely outside of Canada, your salary paid by a Canadian employer is generally not going to be subject to Canadian tax, provided you are deemed not to be employed in Canada, and obviously you're a non-resident, like I said. So the big if is it will depend on your situation, and these situations can be very complicated because people are complicated. We would like to think that this is very clear cut, but it's not. And you're going to have to look at even treaties to see whether or not the treaty tiebreaker rules apply to your situation. So if you're stuck on this, my name is Jason at Fix My Books. Feel free to give us a call so we can help you out with your situation. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you know anyone that is kind of going through this situation, they're a bit scared, they don't know what to do, feel free to send them this video. It's okay. We're here to help. Thank you.